Hello everybody, or should I say good morning. Well, it might have been morning when you're watching this. Okay, so it's a day after I applied the resin, and I can tell you that they weren't solid. Yeah, so that's a shame, but at least now I know. So yeah, I mean, I know now. Also, yeah, they're stuck. They're sealed good and proper. So they're pretty much going to be potentially, well, I was going to say one use, but I suppose it depends. I suppose if I can clean them out before letting them dry, then I'll get more use out of them. But to be fair, the intention of this was like to test and sacrifice those. At least I know that I can use them as mixing tubs. I mean, interesting. I don't know if it is solid. It's not completely solid. And that's weird. Right, okay. So if you look in there, it's kind of smooth. I've just stabbed it a few times. You might be able to see it, and they disappear. So it's still got a bit of play in it. Not a lot, but it's not completely dried solid yet, which is handy to know. And the reason it's handy to know is because it does mean that it probably does need the full 24 hours to really dry solid and to really cure. Okay, now as for what is under the box, I haven't looked. So let's have a look. Okay, interesting. Try and get it all in. Okay, so let's see, has this dried? Yeah, so that's quite dry. It's a little tacky to the touch. I tell you what, it has created a very smooth finish. I like that. Now all of the excess hasn't soaked in on that one, but I'm okay with that because part of this test is to see what this is going to be like once it's been sanded, which I'm not going to do today because I want to leave it the full 24 hours at least, which isn't going to be until late this evening. But again, it's got a lovely smooth finish on there. Okay, onto the green. I was right last night in that it was still spreading because it has got all the way right up to the end, and it's fed into the gap there a bit, and there and there. But there was also a little bit too much for the actual hole itself, so that would need sanding down. I mean, what I am going to do, I'm basically going to sand this down to flat anyway, because I want to see how this is going to react to being sanded. It should be okay, but you never know. Okay, this one, again, I mean, no air bubbles in there. There's a few in this one, none in that one or that one. A few tiny little ones in that one, none in that one. It's looking like a nice clear finish again. Way too much applied, So yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see what that is like when it's been sanded. Now this one, which I do like the colour. Now it is still see-through. I can still see through it. I must admit, I think with this green, I don't think I mixed the colour properly, because it's, well, I was going to say I don't think I've mixed the colour properly. I don't think I have, but also it's a bit like an ocean where the deeper you go, the darker it gets, and that's what this is like. So the edge where the excess is different colour to the middle where it's deepest. But again, it'll be interesting to see what that's like sanded, because I don't know whether it's going to scratch up and then not clean up or what, but it should clean up very nicely, but we will have to wait and see. But for the test purposes of this, interesting. For the test purposes of this, I think it's been a successful test. I'm just looking as well. Even though it looks like the gap is still there, I think the resin has actually filled the gap quite nicely. Now I will say, I don't think I would call this a golden colour. It looks more orange than gold. I'm just fucking about with this. Try a few different things. I mean, that almost does feel a little tacky still, which I'd be quite surprised because it's very thin. But no, I think overall an interesting test. And when I do come to sand that down, again, it could be quite interesting. I'm half tempted to dig another hole, but I would have to use a very small amount of resin. I think what I will do is I will leave this for now, because I think one of the things, now I will leave it for now, because then what I can do is I can, perhaps on the underneath, I can do another test, because what I'm going to want to do is probably pick one of the colours that I'm not intending on really using, and seeing how I go with applying more colour, because I mean, when I look at levels of see-throughness, the green had, so let's put this up here a little more. Okay, well, it's a bit lighter. Okay, so the green I think had less. Had less colour put in it, and as you can see, you can kind of see me through it. And these have all got similar amounts left in them. The gold had quite a bit, and again, you can still see the sort of difference between the shirt and my skin through it. It is very transparent. Well, it's quite transparent. And then the blue, yeah, you can't see no difference. Now, it is still a little transparent, but it is obviously considerably darker, and obviously I did put a lot more in this. But if I put double the amount again, it probably wouldn't be see-through. So what I may do is do similar sort of markings here. Basically, the markings I've created here are kind of like, I mean, I've never tried carving a logo or anything specific, but I would like to be able to. But I think with that, I'd probably get a drawn template or something that I could use as to copy on, basically to cut from. And then the other things are things that I may encounter when doing wood, so long splits, big gouges, little slices, little cracks, and things like that. Because as good as the glue and the wood has been, maybe using the resins will be easier, or better, for example. I mean, I do like the idea of, excuse me, I do like the idea of some nice colours in wood. I don't know if I'd do it on the big table that I've got to do. I think it'd depend on the colour. But also, I mean, this stuff could be used for many different things, really. I mean, I've seen people. Ooh, okay, I've had an idea of something that I can. I'm gonna go and get something. Oh. Right, some time ago, I helped my dad fit a set of stairs in his garage, and it came with quite a few spare parts, one of which was the pieces of wood that go on top of your, well, like say the top of the stairs is you have a pole, and then you have a flat piece, like one of these, on top. Now, there was a few extras, and I saw them and was like, Now, I was using this one that way up with a coaster inside it, but it didn't quite fit properly. But I always like the idea of sort of this sort of pieces of wood, and as you can tell, I have been using it as a coaster. And yes, I have big mugs, and I'm a messy fucker. But could fill that. Could fill that with resin. I might have to try that at some point. I mean, the bottom, the rest of it needs a good fucking clean. But that's the kind of thing that I'm on about. These resins can be used for a number of different things. So yeah, I mean, I might even have to have a look at trying to get some more of these and see if I can pick them up cheap and make my own coasters. Because I do need some. I need to get some. And yeah, that definitely needs a fucking clean. It's disgusting, I'll be honest. But yeah. So other small projects for me to do and deal with. Oh, it does feel quite solid. These. I'm very pleased. I'm actually very, very pleased with how these have come out so far today. I'm gutted about that though, because I really was. I mean, to be fair, when I went to bed last night, I did wonder, and I thought, because it's had the hardener, and that's the thing. This on its own is a liquid. This on its own is a liquid, but you put them together, and this makes this go solid. There's no stopping that. So yeah. So last night I was kind of aware that this is probably going to happen, but at least I know for definite now. I mean, even if I'd kept it in the syringe, it would have done the same thing. But what it does mean is that I will either need to be potentially a bit more precise with the production of it. So with this, I mean, I've made 60mm, and I've probably only used about 10mm in total. Yeah, I'd probably say about that, about 10mm in total. I mean, yeah, I've got to admit as well, this tub is now potentially a little useless because it's got less. It's now how it has a layer of hardener in the bottom of it, or resin as well. So yeah, so I've only used about 10mm, but still that is very, very handy to know. Right, there's not a lot more I can really do for now regarding this, so I'm going to stick this to one side, and I think for a bit more of today I'm going to carry on with my carving project, which is one of the reasons why I've decided to have a test of this resin, because this centre line, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sort of get that to look like it's blended in a lot more. If I am, great. If I'm not, that's what resin's for. Also, I was hoping to try and carve something on the front here and a little bit further down, but I don't know how good I'm going to be at doing that. But if I was able to fill them with resin, that was something else that I wanted to do. I still need to take this to get it levelled off on the bottom, because it is a tiny little bit wobbly. It's only a fraction, but yeah, so today I'm going to try and get on a bit with this. There's still loads to do on it, and I'm half tempted just to get my sort of little handsaw and cut a corner here, but I don't know if it's actually going to help or not. And I need to take out these pieces here to really start to be able to get the curvature going, but it's coming on slowly. It's just a shame that it's absolutely buttering my hand as I do it. But anyway, right, I'm going to get packed up, and yeah, there'll be an addition to the resin videos in a bit regarding how these cope with being sanded.